If you're someone who hasn't started reading Tower of God, you're thinking about it, but you're not sure whether you should take that dive, there's a lot of chapters, so I don't blame you. Or if you're someone who has started, but you're not sure if you should continue, today I'm going to talk about why you should definitely read Tower of God or continue reading, because Tower of God, I've been reading this show for years, talking about this show for so long. It's an incredible comic, and I highly recommend checking it out. So here are 7 reasons why I think you should read, also, Tower of God. Number 1, the world. When I think of Tower of God, this is probably the first thing that I think of right away. SIU, the author, has crafted this unimaginable world. The world of Tower of God is so immense and large that it goes beyond the chapters themselves. Every chapter, SIU releases a blog post discussing the chapter, talking about other things related to Tower of God and the world, and because of it, SIU has crafted this immense galaxy of stories and universes, and even talking about that, Tower of God is actually only one story, like one mini universe that exists in a universe of stories. And it's insane that SIU has actually crafted this entire world that's a part of another world, that's a part of this giant story, a collection of stories. But what's really interesting about it is that you don't need to know all the details to still love Tower of God. You don't need to know who the ruler of floor 32 is or whatever. You don't need to know what happened 750 years ago, but it's there. Like, the history is there, the lore is there, but you don't need to know it. But if you do know it, the story still rewards you for that. There's callbacks and little hints here and there, which is amazing, and it sets up so many possibilities for theories and whatnot. So the world, easily, probably like the first thing that I think of when I think why I think people should read this story. Number 2, the characters. If you're someone who's only read season 1, or if you've only watched season 1 of the anime, you might think the characters, like, okay, they're cool, but whatever, they're there, you've got your cliches and whatnot. The characters in Tower of God, especially in the comic, are so intricate that it actually blows my mind. Everybody from the protagonists to the antagonists to people who appear in only a couple of chapters. Each character is unique, different, and honestly, the best way I can describe this is each character feels like they could be the main character of their own story, which is what a lot of authors use to determine if it's a good character or not. Like, honestly, I'm thinking of so many characters right now, and I could honestly see side stories or short stories or even full series like on that character in particular. And not just the main characters either. And to do that, SIU blends these characters into the plot, into the world. They're introduced in natural ways, and honestly, as somebody who loves side characters, I love this fact. There are just so many characters. There's so many. There's not too many to a point where it's like overwhelming, in my opinion, but there's just enough so that every arc you're meeting some new people. There's people coming back from previous arcs, you're getting to know them even more, you're wondering what happened to these characters, when they're gonna come back, and you still get your main characters. So honestly, the characters in Tower of God are incredible. Also, not even mentioning their designs, which actually leads me to number 3, the art. The art in Tower of God is beyond anything I've ever read. I'm not just saying that. The art in Tower of God it's incredible. And I have no idea how SIU does it, because he writes such long chapters, and yet the art, every single panel is stellar. It's amazing. Now, if you're somebody who's just read season 1, or you only know a little bit about the art, you might not think this. You might say, what are you talking about? The art doesn't even look great. It looks kind of bad. And that's because the story, when SIU started, he was just, getting started with what he wanted to do. He was figuring things out. His art was still improving a lot. So the first, 20 chapters are kind of rough. After that, it starts improving really pretty well. And then once you get into season 2 especially, it starts getting rapid. And at this point, it's stellar. It's beyond amazing. The art, first of all, the colors. A lot of people who are manga readers, they love manga, they love the black and white, but there's something to say about Tower of God and its use of color. And I've talked to some people about this, especially combining that with just the intricate world itself. the colors of the characters and of everything add so much. So you gotta love it. The art is amazing and it's constantly improving. I could not talk about Tower of God and not talk about the art. Number 4, the plot. The plot of season 1 is fairly straightforward, but as soon as you start getting into season 2 and even just the end of season 1, scratch that, the middle of season 1, things start to get a lot more complex and complicated. Now, what I love about the plot especially is that there's so many twists and turns and unique factors to this story. SIU loves to throw curveballs as often as he can, whether it's a betrayal here or there, or just a plot twist involving a character or an antagonist, or something you didn't know about a character being revealed. Like, the plot is constantly shifting and changing, and it's to the point where you can almost never predict what SIU is gonna do. Every time you think you've got it figured out, it's something different, which is honestly amazing. It keeps you on your toes always. And as you continue reading into the story and you get farther and farther, things just continue to get more complex. The plot continues to be intricate and amazing. Like, the plot is honestly incredible. And even just like looking at how SIU handles certain characters' plots and the way that they just everything. I don't know. The way that it all started and the way that it is now, it's incredible. Looking at how the setting changed and integrated with the plot, I absolutely love it. Number 5, the format. So this is something that a lot of people don't talk about, but the fact that Tower of God's format is in such an easily accessible app or website is another reason why you should read. It's free, you can go read it right now, all the chapters. Like, not many amazing stories like this are easily accessible like that. And, you know, once SIU is going to come back from hiatus, you can pay for some future chapters like Fast Pass, but 400 chapters are available right now. You can go read them for free. That says something. You know, there's no ads in between. Like, that's pretty incredible. But when I also talk about format, I also just mean the colors, like I mentioned before, the fact that this story is told in color, and also just seeing the panels situated as they are. It all works so well. So I wanted to talk about the format just briefly. I feel like SIU integrates the panels together so well. There's something to say about that that scrolling feeling, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna scroll down and see this next panel. You know, the format just works really well with Tower of God, and the fact that it's free is also a huge boon to the story. Number 6, the writing. I already talked about the characters, I talked about the plot, but let's take a second to actually talk about the writing itself, especially when it involves dialogue and comedy. So the characters, again, feel super unique, but their interactions with each other are absolutely vital to this story. You know, whether you're talking about Khun and his next big brain scheme, or you're seeing a character from 200 chapters ago meet a new character, and you're like, oh my gosh, how are they gonna react to each other? What's gonna happen? Or you find out that there's more to these two characters than you realized. The writing and the dialogue that just circles and circles around them is stellar. I'm using the same words over and over, but you get what I'm saying. It's really well handled, and something too about Tower of God is it's very funny. And I feel like because of the format, kind of tying back to the previous point, SIU is able to integrate so much hilarious stuff into the story. You know, webcomics especially, you've got these like little side bubbles that pop up or little funny panels. Things like that don't make it into the anime or animated representations of the comic. Even when I'm doing my season 2 dub, it's hard to integrate that because it only works for the comic a lot of the times. So the writing is fantastic, and it all flows so well. Nothing feels out of place. It all ties together in the end, so the writing is fantastic. And finally, number 7, the 7th reason and the final reason, at least for now, why I think you should read Tower of God is because of the future of the comic. Now, again, this one might seem a little out of left field. What do you mean? So, Tower of God, there's so many chapters, but Tower of God is not anywhere near over. You know, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but we're at a point in the story where things are just continuing to ramp up, and it's clear that we're nowhere near the climax. You know, whether we're halfway, we're probably around halfway would be my guess, or over halfway a little bit, but like we're nowhere near finished. So this is the time to start reading Tower of God. There's no better time than now, especially since it's coming back soon and you can become a part of the community. So I want just the future of the comic. I wanted to make that a point because There is so much left to discover, and joining the rest of us readers on figuring out what's going to happen next week and discussing things and theorizing, this is the perfect time. So I have full faith in SIU. The future of this comic is only going to continue to become more and more amazing, and I want to be there for that growth, and I think it'd be awesome if you guys were as well. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed, leave a like on this video if you want to see more videos like this and that sort of thing, and subscribe because we upload every single day here on the channel, Tower of God content, webtoon content, all kinds of fun videos, it's so much fun, you know, getting to interact with you guys and make content. We also have a Patreon which directly supports our Season 2 dub of the webcomic, so if you want to watch that, there's also a playlist here on the channel and you can support that through our Patreon. Again, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in my next Tower of God video. Take care.